So when I was younger, I used to bring things home to my mom, especially my mom, and my dad. And I would, it'd be something that I would make in school. And it was really exciting to get, to build this thing. It was really like proud, right? It'd be something that I would colored or some sort of assignment. I was really proud. And so I'd bring it home and show my parents, and they would be so excited. They would, my mom would sort of say how cool this thing is, or, just give me encouragement in various different ways. Maybe they put it on the refrigerator. It was really kind of fun to have those moments of where I had a sense of accomplishment of doing those particular things. But when I got older, especially building this whole reciprocity project, I realized that, nobody really cares. And it is kind of this really profound realization. And it comes up all in, over and over and over again. I thought, I would have had the same sort of response from everybody else when I built this thing, because it's unique and fun and interesting. And I thought it actually would matter in this world. So I put it out, built this whole platform that would help people do work, and put it out in the world, and nobody cared about it. It was just like crickets. Nobody cared, and they still don't really care about it. In fact, it's considered vastly like a distraction. I shouldn't be doing it. It's a waste of my time. Like all those kind of things, right? And I know that because it's kind of, I get those, you basically get those evaluations whenever, that you do this as a scholar, right? Like that's part of what our job is. We get told what is appropriate, what's not appropriate every single year. And I think it's useful, and I think it's very, helpful and all that kind of stuff. But, the rest of the world doesn't care. And the rest of the world is not going to give this big fanfare that my family would do, right? And so what I have to do is realize, and it's really, a lot. You could probably listen to a lot of me coming around I've been sort of very social about this. Is that you have to realize that the market does not care. They're only really, the sort of big market is very self-centered. They really only care about themselves, right? They don't care about the creator. They don't care about the whole story behind it. I mean, that's part of it, but they really just want to do the thing that they want to do. And they're looking for something that is going to help them out, right? And this is true in academia as well, right? We have the market for ideas as well. And, it's true in the world, is that the world does not care about what you've actually done. Like, they're really not, they're totally disinterested, totally don't care. The only thing that they want is to do their thing better, and whatever that looks like. And it's hard to encourage people to, even though that I think, and I use it, it helps my life. It's helped, it's hard to encourage people to do these particular things. The only way that you can do that is if it becomes like so profoundly impactful, that everybody sort of flocks to it, right? That's what marketing is all about. It's sort of convincing people that something is profoundly impactful. But if you're doing anything like this or in your life, right, like don't expect people to care about the thing that you've done. And you have to come to terms with that nobody is going to, if you're an academic, nobody's going to read your work. And you have to literally force people, like hold their hand to read your work. And, B, if you do something like this, build, some sort of application or a product or anything like that, just take it from me is that the default is that nobody cares. You should be assuming that nobody's going to care about your thing. And what you have to do is figure out how do you get part of their life, right? Like, how do you become them? And that's not an easy thing to do, right? That's where you have to go into their shoes and think about, like, what are they thinking? What are they doing? What's the moment that this might happen? And what's the sort of we talk about pain points, but it's not even that. It's like, it's not only pain points, but like, how do you get it to be part of their life, such that they just love being part of it, and love everything about it. And that is the tricky thing, right? Like, that's where you have to, think about what it means to be other people, right? And that's where you have to be, not necessarily, I mean, it is empathetic of what people are doing, but like, just putting yourself in their shoes of like, okay, this does not matter to me, right? Like, it really doesn't matter to other people. And then you have to think about, like, how do I come across, or what is it that I need to do to get them to matter in various different ways? And I don't know what the answer is, honestly. I don't think, like, we can actually definitively say, other than being some sort of binding commitment often works, and having that sort of situation where you have a binding commitment where you force people to do something, that will actually work. But, how do you get that sort of moment? It's a sort of tricky thing. And that's where I want you to think about, is that, nobody cares. And your parents and, family and friends and all that kind of stuff, like, but the only people that are going to care is maybe one person. And even your immediate family is not going to care at all. And you have to get used to that as walking alone, where you're doing this thing independently of what everybody else says. And that's hard to do, right? Like, you really want people to care and be like, well, that's really cool. Like, you really want that, but that's not going to happen. And so you have to come to terms with that as you're doing these things. Is how do you get it so that you can do these, so you can be yourself as you're walking along? And I have a lot more, I'm thinking right now, like, I have a lot more profound empathy for, like, people that have made really big changes, right? Like Edison and stuff like that, where they had to stick out like a sore thumb and walk alone, because when, nobody's going to care for a long time. And then when people do care for it, they're going to say that what you're doing is wrong, and they don't like what you did, and all these kind of things, right? Like, it is a profound realization that you just have to be your own self, be okay with that, and just keep walking along, being proud of who you are. And I think that's an important thing to come to terms with as a person. That's being a leader in your own life. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.